Today, it's part 2 of our Killer Instincts series, y'all. Why is it some elk hunters have that winning juice? Some people seem to have these abilities in any situation, whether they're experienced or not. Why is that? How can an elk hunter be so good at influencing their own outcomes? Where does their focused confidence come from? And the bigger question is, how do others develop it? That discussion, our listener shout outs, and questions from our awesome ElkBros mailbox. So, my friends, pull up a chair, adjust your volumes just right, and welcome to Blue Collar Elk Hunting.
Welcome to Blue Collar Elk Hunting, brought to you by ElkBros.com, with your host Gilbert Ornelas and elk hunting coach Joe Gillia. You want to hunt elk, and they live to hunt elk. Their goal is to share with you what they have learned grinding it out for over 35 seasons, doing what they love. So come on into camp and set a spell. Welcome to Blue Collar Elk Hunters.
Hello there, everyone. If it's your first time with us, glad to have you. Hope you enjoy our show. And as always, for those blue collar hunters following our show and grinding it out with us every week, welcome back to Elk Camp. I'm Gilbert Ornelas, the host of your show, coming to you from Spring, Texas. And joining me today, we've got the leader of the Venezuelan Mafia from Katy, Texas. Mr. Luis Gonzalez is in the house. And we have the legend, R.C. Knox, in the house. The Prez, the Ninja, Leroy Chavez is in the house with us. And WWJGD is in the house and got it teed up. And let's not forget the man with the hitch plan, the bow hitch man himself, Mr. Armando Martinez is in the house. And we have a special guest, guys, all the way from Phoenix, Arizona. Mr. Randy Foot's in the house.
Randy!
Hey, Foot.
Randy.
Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yep.
Yeah. Welcome.
Randy's a CEO executive of a top 500 club, guys, and I want you to know that he has offered to buy each and every one of us a full ride to Cancun for the boys. We're going. Woo, Randy!
Thank you, Randy. I already sent the check. Check's in the mail. Just wait for it. It's there.
Yeah, there you go. Awesome.
So, Randy, it's I've kept you a secret, man. Nobody here knows that anything about you other than you're from Phoenix, Arizona. Will you, and for the listeners out there, Randy is one of our listeners, sent me an email talking about our last show, and I really love some of the comments that he sent me, and I wanted him here tonight on this discussion for part 2 of the series. So I texted him in the middle of traffic, and he was like, well, just wait. Let me get home, and then I'll tell you, man. And then I got a text that I'm in, so he's jumping in with us.
Oh,
welcome, Randy. Tell everybody about yourself.
Well, live in Arizona, obviously. By the way, the letter AI did a good job writing that thing, didn't he? It was good. I have been hunting in Arizona since I was 13. I'm 51, so there's been quite a few years. A lot of elk hunting. Elk's my thing. I like to have a good time. I like to keep it light, probably on the sarcastic side. But when it comes to hunting, it's go time and it's passion. And I'm super passionate, maybe to a fault. If you ask some of the people, I'm probably too passionate about hunting. And so that's what really led me to ElkBros. You know, I had been hunting for a long time, and it was really more about, man, I just want more content. I just want to talk about elk and hear about elk and see if I can learn something along the way, which, by the way, I have. And so that's me. I get out and archery hunt every chance I get. I actually killed a 4x4 deer, 4 days ago now, out in the middle of the desert. And that was fun.
Nice.
Yeah, it was good. It was a good time.
Awesome, boss.
What else do you want to know? I got a wife at home who I had to get permission from before joining the podcast here, and
that's enough, Randy. That's enough. We're not this kind of show.
Yeah, it's a family show.
About the campfire. We're about the campfire, Randy. We're not talking about wives in here now.
Yeah, and I believe I've seen your name on one of our reviews in the past as well.
Yeah.
And I
Have you been listening to our show a while, Randy?
Yeah, I didn't start right when you guys did. I got into it probably going on 2 years ago now. And I wasn't sure at first, I'll be honest. I had to get to kind of know the cast of characters a little bit.
Yeah.
But I liked the content. And I think for me, it was kind of you were repeating what I had in my head and maybe putting names to certain things. And it just felt right. And then I listened to a couple of podcasts, and then I just had to go back to the beginning and listen to all the growing pains and everything that got you to where you're at now. So
There are a lot of them, but man, where we are today, we're only here because of guys like you, man. We appreciate you listening.
Yeah, well, I
Exactly.
appreciate the content.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, man. And we hear that a lot from people. Whenever I have somebody that I get a chance to talk to, I always ask them because we've always had this big debate on the show, and you've heard it. You've heard the growing pains. You've heard us talk about whether we should do our shout outs or not and stuff like that. And invariably, I had people that said, well, I tell you, when I started out, man, I used to just scroll through everything. And now they say, well, once we started learning about you a little bit, they just wanted to be part of the group and listen in. So, and that's just like you are tonight, man. Just welcome around the elk campfire, boss.
Well, I appreciate being here. I really do.
Yes, sir.
Cool. A couple things I wanted to talk about. We have a new song.
Yeah, man. Joe killed it. Joe put this stuff together, and I don't know if any of the guys have heard it. Immediately when I heard it, I knew where this was taking us, and he hit a home run with the first shot, like he does on most everything. The dude is just gifted and talented, and I watched him take one shot for a 2-0 shot, and it's literally one take. Dude hit it like. He hit it like the dude that says, when I do drink beer, I drink Dos Equis, right? I mean, dude, the dude just crushed it, right?
Right.
And I mean, I looked at him and I went, don't touch nothing, man. Send that right like it is. Don't do anything to it. Don't fluff it up. That's the killer thing, Joe's just a very talented person when it comes to saying the right thing off the cuff. So, man, he put this song together. I sent him a little bit of stuff me and my kids were messing around with earlier in the year, and man, he took the ball and ran with it. And the song is just absolutely awesome, man. And I can't wait to put it to video and everything. There's so many cool things coming up for us and the team and our coaches and stuff. So got a lot of stuff to talk about, and let them know
Wait a
about it,
minute.
Joe.
Is that not the song that you put with the video and Instagram?
Yeah, it's with a video. Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact,
That's already out.
what we're going to do for everybody is we're going to play the video at the end of tonight's show. That'll be our closing tonight. So that way we'll introduce it there at the end. Tony, I'm sorry, we're going to take Tony, man, we play Tony all the
We
time.
love Tony Wintrip, man. Yep,
Yeah.
for sure.
We love Tony. And, I wrote this song about 2 years ago and had the lyrics, and I've tried to get different people to put it to music and get some vocals, and it's just tough. I mean, everybody has lives going on and stuff like that. So, Gilbert showed me something with some IA, and then I was doing some reading, and so I just started researching and looking. AI, yeah, there you go. I'm thinking initial
We knew what he
assent.
meant. We knew what he meant.
We just like,
We knew what he meant.
An initial assent would be proud of me, man. And so I went and checked out and did some studying on what everybody liked, and I went into this one and messed with it for about 8 hours with the lyrics and kind of played a little bit with the sound and what I wanted and the voices and stuff like that. And then, man, the song represents my philosophy and how I face life and how I face elk hunting and the feelings that are in me. And so,
yeah, and in essence, we've adopted that ethos, right? That philosophy or ethos that you want to talk about. What's our core values? And that song embodies it, man. Really does.
So we'll show that to everybody. Let them listen to it at the end. Also, if you want, they can download the song on our ElkBros.com webpage. You can go there, scroll down, and you can listen to it or download it there. So,
Hashtag ElkBros TV coming soon.
For everybody, news: the New Mexico Big Game application window is now open. Opens today, the 15th. So you can start applying. The deadline is March 19th. And for upcoming expos and outdoor show schedules, Armando, I'm going to let you, because yours is a little bit different than ours. And man, you're going to some really cool shows. The bow hitch is going to be bouncing around. What's on your schedule here for your first couple of shows, bud?
Well, in February, for the Valentine's weekend, of course, we're going to be at the Hunt Expo up in Utah. So that's a 4-day show in Salt Lake City. Phenomenal show if anybody has an opportunity to see it. First year I went, I've been already 3 years into going to different trade shows and seeing different places. And when I walked into this trade show, it just dwarfs everything else that I've been to. It was a really cool show. Really cool new products, old products, new launches. A lot of people like to launch their new products at the Hunt Expo, and that's a big one. So if you guys have an opportunity, go over there. The Hunt Expo is the first thing that we have, and then we will be doing at a minimum three TACs, total archery challenges.
Mm-hmm.
We typically always do San Antonio, we do Utah, and we do Colorado. They may be adding another one in the Utah area. So if they add something else in the Western Hemisphere, we'll attend that. I'm looking at the dates and really trying to get out to Michigan and start to see our, the other part of the country. I've never been in that direction,
Well,
but there's
when you go, it's you got to make sure it's a hand.
Yeah,
right?
that's
And,
Yeah.
My wife is from Michigan. She would agree.
Yeah,
Okay.
mine is too, brother. Ann Arbor.
So
Traverse.
that's the plan. Those two shows, we're gonna do the hike to hunt as well. That's in Flagstaff, Arizona, and Angel Fire, New Mexico, and then a Western Hunt Fest. And I'm not too sure which one of those are our boys at Western Hunt Fest. We'll be there for one or two of those as well. So
Right.
that's a minimum of what we're doing, plus
Wow.
whatever else comes up.
awesome,
Pretty
man.
busy.
Armando, I just got to say something here. And every time I get on the air, I want to talk about you guys and what y'all do. If y'all don't know who Armando Martinez is, you need to go to bowhitch.com and check it out. I've been hunting with a bow hitch now for a few years, and I will tell you without a doubt, it's the number one innovation in Western hunting when it comes to bow hunting. If you don't have a bow hitch on your pack and your bow, you're missing out, guys. I mean, it is safer. When we talk about safety, man, having both your hands free where you can work with your sticks and everything when you're going down steep and going up steep stuff, you don't have to hold on to your bow. When you're glassing, you don't have to set your bow down. You're not losing things. But it is I think it by far the number one innovative tool in bow hunting when it comes to Western hunting. I can't say it enough. It's inexpensive. It's built rock solid tough, man. And you can get them at bowhitch.com and talk to Armando Martinez here. And these guys are phenomenal. Check out some of his stuff on TikTok and Instagram, man. They're doing a really cool thing with, some charity stuff and things that are going out. Armando, talk a little bit about what y'all got going on with paying it forward going forward.
Sure. Yeah, that's our random acts of kindness.
That's right.
And,
Random acts.
and so the random acts of kindness, this is year 4 that we've been doing it. And it is just our way of kind of sparking up our community to say, hey, new year, everybody has kind of their resolutions and stuff like that. So for us, I wanted to put this out there to say, hey, it's a new year. Let's start the year by doing a random act of kindness for somebody. So
Love it.
I started it with
brother.
the spotting scope. We've given away hunts. We do so many things. This year our top prize right now, we're giving away a brand new bow from Hit or Miss Archery. It's the Bowtech Justice. I have 24 other prizes that I have to give away. So you guys, if you're interested, number one, do something kind for somebody just because it's the right thing to do. If you guys are on Instagram or Facebook, we're at the Bow Hitch. You can enter in that kind deed into our comment section, on the Random Acts post, and that is all it takes to get you entered in to win some pretty amazing prizes.
Yeah, the post looks like a real pretty reddish sunset. If you see that, that's where you can go in, and all you got to do is just comment and you can do it about somebody else. It doesn't have to be about yourself either. If somebody does a kind act for you, you can basically nominate them to be selected. So
I was thinking of adding Randy. I mean, taking us to Mexico on that trip.
Man, we definitely got to add Randy.
You guys can add
Randy's
him,
got
or
to
I
be
can
on
add
the
him.
list.
You may want to
You
wait
can
till
add him, or I
after
can
the
add
trip.
him.
Again, man, y'all got to check out what Mondo's got going on. One of the coolest things, this random act of kindness still and paying it forward to everybody else. And man, I'm really telling y'all, if you don't have a bow hitch, you got to get one. Because why, Luis?
Manano.
Carrying your bow
Because why,
sucks.
Luis? Because why?
Because carrying your bow sucks.
Carrying your bow sucks. That's right. Man, no like hitting it on cue, brother.
Didn't hit the unmute fast enough. I'm sorry.
I was like, Manano, unmute Manano.
Joe's told me he
Such a
wants me to get guys in facilitating more, and this is what happens when we do those kinds of things. Don't worry, RC, I'm coming at you. Be ready,
Yeah,
buddy.
I know. I'm
For our
sure.
dates, we're also February 14th to the 16th. We're going to be at the New Mexico Outdoor Show in Albuquerque at the Expo at the New Mexico State Fairgrounds at the same time that Armando's up in Utah. And I just want to tell you, we've done shows. We did a show last year in Denver here in January. Big show, huge building, lots and tons of people. And then we went to our show here, the New Mexico Outdoor Show, and the people in New Mexico, it's a small show. And the people in New Mexico showed us so much love and came to our booth and purchased things. It just blew Denver out of the water for us. I mean, it was a fantastic show. And, I really appreciate our New Mexico gente, man. You know what? I mean, our people, they don't mess around. They go to a hunting show to get hunting stuff, right?
That's it.
That's
They
right.
bring their wallets, babe. The greenbacks and their plastics.
Yep. They're coming in and making it happen. Whereas, I think a lot of times some of them big places, everybody goes just to browse and look around and
Kick tires.
yeah. So we're going to be there 14th through the 16th. Now, April 11th through the 13th, we are headed to Aurora, Colorado. We will be at the Mile High Hunt and Fish Expo. Y'all, last year was their first year doing it, and it blew everything out of the water, man. It was just such a quality show. It's at the Gaylord Rockies Resort in Aurora, Colorado. So we will be there. And then May 9th and 10th, the Western Hunt Fest has 3 Hunt Fests going on. They got one in Springs. They got one in Raton, New Mexico at the Whittington Center. And then they have one in Bailey, Colorado. But we have a conflict with that one at Bailey unless I can get some of the crew to go ahead and show out themselves there. But I got a huge conflict, man. I'm in Arizona at the time. So May 9th and 10th at Colorado Springs, and then June 6th to 7th at the Whittington Center. And I tell you, man, I'm putting the thing out there, man. All those people, all of our gente that showed up and showed us so much love there in Bosque, man. Y'all come up to this thing because it is a fantastic event at a fantastic facility, tons of area to camp. They have cheap housing there if you want to stay in a cabin or stay in anything like that. And the facility is just the bomb. The event is the bomb. And I'd really like I'm just asking and pleading with our people, with our archers here in New Mexico, to show some love to this event so that we can keep things like this coming down, man. It's pretty cool that they come down and do that. So that's pretty much what we're going to be doing, y'all.
Can't wait, Joe. It's going to be epic at those events. Joe, let them know too that you're going to be running a calling competition and doing an elk seminar as well, correct?
Yeah, I'll be doing
calling
seminars at every event that we go to. I'll be doing seminars. And then and then we have calling comps at every one of those events as well. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Let's get back to our ElkBros mailbox. Chav, you want to start us out and read the question for us, buddy?
Okay, this one comes from Chad Hashin from Idaho, and he says, or he asks, is there a certain time of year when bulls will be using the same areas they hide after the rut? My assumption is they use the same safe areas all year unless they get bumped or pressured there. On the other hand, maybe they have those nasty deep holes they save for post-rut hiding. I'd be interested in what you guys thought. I'd like to get one with a rifle and being able to scout areas before the season is in with a thought they could be there post-rut.
Mondo, what have you found?
I'm really the last couple of years I've done some rifle hunts, and I'm digging it because the country that we've been hunting, it's obviously different, public, private. This last year I was on a private ranch, and the bulls go to the exact same place. I mean, it's clockwork. If they're not getting pressured, they're in these areas that they're in for a reason. The particular area we were hunting had food, water, shelter, and no traffic coming in or out of it, including us as hunters. We were hunting them on the fringe. That way we never went into their bedding area, and we didn't push one elk the entire time. I'm a firm believer that if I find a bull in a particular canyon in the late season, if there's minimal pressure, I will find that bull again. He might be tucked away, and he might be hard to find for half a day or a day, but you give me 2 days in there and I'll turn him up.
Yeah, and he doesn't go very far from where he's at, as long, because they're going to be places. And what I want you to realize, Chad, and this is Brother Chad up in Idaho, man. Chad.
Yeah, Chad Hashin.
Yeah, Chad, what I want you to realize is, so when those big bulls take off to go recover, man, they just want to be by themselves. They just want to find a spot. They just want to recover. They want to eat, right? And then what happens is you got this little rotation. It's just the opposite rotation of the beginning of the season. So those big bulls rotate out, and then those satellites rotate in, and they're the pseudo herd bulls for a while. They get to play like they're the man. So they will stay with them a lot longer before they roll out. But what I have seen is, just like Armando said, those guys are going to go to a hole to recover, and it's generally because there's a reason they go to those nasty places, man. It gives them that. So, Randy, I see you shaking your head there. Is this what you're finding to be true too?
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. And you were saying, if they have their food, cover, water, that they're going to, that's the spot they're going to pick. They're going to, as you said earlier, I think the same spot every single year. That's where they're going to be. And so I think the question was, just post rut, right after rut. And I think that's probably the real answer. Now, I would say if we're talking later, if it's a later hunt, they'll come out of there based on weather and food and some other things.
Snow.
100%. And that's what I was going to say is, you have that rotation, and they go and hide and they go and recover. And then as those other bulls start to come out and those bulls have recovered, they start moving to those areas that you find them like before that September hunt is kind of like that's kind of their area that is their territory that they're going to be at. They move into those places, those pre-rut areas that they're going to stay in there, away from the big herds. Now you can find bulls still with the herds sometimes. Yeah. I've seen that happen, but most of the time these guys will move away, and I've seen them move 10, 20 miles to where they like to stay as a bachelor group, right? Yeah. And you'll find that bachelor group. Now that location as well, you'll find those guys there year in, year out. And what happens is it's just a rotation, man. They start moving back to those cows when it's getting close to that time to breed. They start moving up. The big guys stay on the wings. The small guys go in, herd them up. Then the big guys go in and take it over. And then just the opposite.
Do you find that's a 10-day period after the rut, a 15-day period after the rut? I mean, can you define that a little bit? I know weather's going to depict quite a bit of it, but generally they go a couple of weeks and try to heal up, and then
absolutely.
you start seeing them move around. So you would say that windows from 5 to 14 days is when they're going to just kind of disappear and do their thing and heal up, right?
Those biggest bulls will now, and I want you to understand this, because a lot of people think that the big bulls are always a herd bulls. There's some giant herd bulls that will stay in the wings the whole time. Wait till cows come in heat, go in and breed and get back out. They don't want to waste any energy, and especially those bulls that are in those areas that get the type of snowfall that burns that energy. It's not their first rodeo. But for those bulls that do go in and that start running those cows, they burn so much calories. They lose so much weight, man. I mean, they'll lose 200 pounds of weight from, from their fighting weight in September to October.
That's 25% of their body weight or more, 30.
It's amazing how much they lose. They'll go from 700 to 500 pounds, man. So, but then what they do, and usually, Gil, generally it's right around the 8th to the 11th of October that those big guys will just peel off. And, they've been breeding all that time. They've done it. Now, again, sometimes they will still do just the opposite of early season. They will stay in the wings. If there's a situation when they're out there and cows come in, they will come in and breed, and then they go out. As much as what their energy will allow them or what they've had to deal with in the area they are, and then they're going to go find those holes and they're just going to go rest up, man. And their food and their water and their bed is going to be in a little, in an area where, I'd say their water's not even a half mile from them, if that sometimes, So what do you find, RC?
Yeah, you're right. It's, they go back to the same place they like to, and more times than not, I've found them sleeping. They're resting. I mean, they're just as
bedded
cold
down.
as slept, and you can holler all you want, but they're sleeping. They'll sleep and graze a little and go to water, but they've got to have, I would say, a good week before they can even start to function back up to where they start eating and
when you listen to some of the wildlife biologists, they say these bulls work themselves up so bad that some of them die. They don't make the stress. They don't, especially if the winter's tough. And the food's real thin for them. I mean, generally they're going to go find food, but these snowfalls that happen so fast can pin them up, and they don't have the strength to last that hard winter or that badass snowfall, and it kills them.
And if
because they've had such
if they can recover good, if they get that good recovery period, they will stay up. And it's funny, we talk about the snow moving the elk down. Well, really, the elk that move down are the cows and the small bulls that are going to move down, because if they're in a big group, they need that much more grass. Those older bulls, man, will sometimes just stay up there because they don't need a whole lot. As long as they can paw up some grass or be in an area in the trees where they can get to it, they'll still stay there. But they've gotten their energy back, right? And that's why they just disappear and you don't find them. Everybody's looking for them because everybody's looking for a lot of track. Right? And if you're looking and following a lot of track, you're not going to find those single big boys. That's not going to happen. So,
Great question, Chad.
Real good question. But so, Chad, it's not the same place all year long, though, bro. So they are going into a deep hole. They're going to move out of that deep hole. In fact, I know a lot of people when they're scouting, they'll find a lot of rubs up in like in bedding areas on ridges that are up high on those ridges, and those aren't rut rubs, man. That's where bulls are that pre-rut rub where they're rubbing velvet.
Peeling their velvet.
Yeah, that's all that is, man. That's their little hiding places on those ridges before they move out, and they go back and forth to those places all the time too. So,
Joe and them and Mondo, on those deep holes where they're going to hide, will they be on those northern facing slopes to gather that sun in the morning, or will it change for them, or to shade them from that sun in the morning? They'll want more sunlight on them if they can get it to warm them up. I mean, have you guys found any of that to be true?
I find them more on bench stuff, where they're getting bedding, they're getting feed, and water's close by. And so a lot of times it just depends on the terrain and the type of terrain.
Yeah.
You know, if you got drainages that are going like that, and then you have a drainage that as it goes, it has a little bench that's got real thick trees in it right there. That's a hole right there. And they'll stay in that hole. They can go out in the sun, they can feed, they can get water, right? So yeah.
I think it's important for people, especially Randy could probably attest to this. We're in New Mexico. We don't have there's not always going to be a north slope or a south slope, or we can't say that we're hunting. I can't personally say that I'm looking for a specific slope. New Mexico, the weather changes 400 times in a day. So unless it's a big weather pattern, I'm probably not specifically looking at a north or a south slope. If it's been cold and there's a bunch of snow, then I will focus on that to try to see where the animals are. But other than that, terrain is what I'm looking for, because you're going to have your water. You're going to see, okay, just like Joe said, that's a thick patch. There's something bedded up in there. Let's wait for them to come out is kind of how I approach that.
Yep.
Cool.
Absolutely.
Great content, guys. Oh yeah, and a very good question from Chad Hashin.
Okay.
Well, guys, you know what time it is. It's time for our ElkBros shout outs. If you're on the show, this is just a shout out to our followers with a few cities with our most listeners topping our charts this week, Joe.
Here we go. Chav, you got the first one, bud.
Okay, today's top listening city, named after a prominent figure in Abraham Lincoln's cabinet and a regional hub for ice harvesting in the 19th century, playing a minor role in the Underground Railroad, with local homes rumored to have hidden rooms used to shelter escaping slaves. That's a sentence. And that is Holt, Michigan.
Yeah, Holt,
Michigan. Just south of Lansing.
Yeah, Chav, you did that in one breath, man. You could.
I know.
Yeah, you killed it.
Yeah, and I want to tell you, man, on all of these places, it could have been repetitive, because there must be some sneaky people in the country, because all of these places either had hidden rooms or underground tunnels,
Right?
Everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, almost every one of these do, Joe?
Yeah.
Well, this next city, guys, with underground tunnels rumored to have been used for bootlegging, our next top listening city is the home to the world's largest round barn. Built in 1916, it's a popular landmark in the area in Marshfield, Wisconsin.
Wisconsin
shows up.
Yeah, the cheese guys. I was figuring, man, all these tunnels and all the bootlegging. I was like, I'd never seen a round barn, but I guess you do a lot of drinking and you end up.
Yeah, I've never seen a round barn. I've seen some silos they've turned into barns and stuff like that, but not just a round barn.
Any of you guys see a round barn before?
No.
Yeah, them fellows were hitting the drink a little too much, man. That's all I'm saying.
I want to know how they got them joists bent.
Home to Medicine Lake, the second largest lake in the Twin City area. This top listening city has a touch of artistic fame. It was a brief home to Bob Dylan early in his career. This is Plymouth, Minnesota.
Minnesota
in the house. Luis, they didn't say Venezuela. They said Minnesota. But...
I know. I get that a lot. And the funny thing, I'm glad I didn't say this one, because I would have said Plymouth.
So you never when you were in school and when you first came over here, you never heard of Plymouth Rock, where all those people landed?
I never
Rock.
did. Yeah, they
Plymouth
didn't
Rock.
teach that in Oregon City.
Yeah.
So next up, so not sure if this is close to the coast, if a coast ever existed here, or if it's from an ancient shoreline, but this stop listening city is named.
Wait. Time out, bro.
Wait.
Time out, bro. You got to go back.
What?
You have to go back and it has to be done as listed. You can't just improvise
It's the
and
same
ad
thing.
lib and stuff like that, bro.
I'm saying
No,
the same thing.
it is not the same thing,
I
bro.
swear all the listeners understood this. Okay, they get the point. Okay, so here I go. Okay, not sure if this is close to the or if the ever existed here, or if it's from an ancient. But this stop listening city is named for the fossilized coral in the area. It is also home to Iowa's shortest railroad bridge. This quirky structure crosses a small creek and serves as a photo-worthy oddity. Coralville, Iowa. Why are you laughing, Joe?
Iowa, man.
Why are you
I
laughing?
love that he could do it though, man. He hit
Joe.
that like a home run, dude.
Joe,
He never
why are you
missed
laughing?
it.
Why are you making fun of me, bro? Did I pronounce it wrong? Is that what you wanted?
no,
You wanted me to
no.
pronounce it like that?
I have to apologize to our listeners.
Honey
You know,
bitches.
I have
Is
to
that
apologize. You know,
Is that not how it's pronounced?
some people have bad attitudes about things. You know.
Oh my
I
God.
hate
Oh
you.
my
You know
gosh,
that, right?
Chav teed you up, brother. He teed you up, dude.
No, that wasn't
Was it
Chav.
me?
I know that has Joe written all over it. Yes.
Joe's face is red as a fox's ass, boy. I'm telling you.
It don't take much, man. Yeah,
That's awesome. The people in
I
Coralville,
love-
Iowa, we're not trying to gloss over your city. We appreciate y'all listening.
Yeah, Coralville, Iowa. We're sorry, dude. You know,
Yeah,
we're sorry to all the folks there,
Used
man.
to
I
be a
apologize
beach.
because
You killed it, homie.
I know.
You killed it.
So, if for those of y'all that haven't listened and haven't heard in the past, Luis told me a story when we first got to know each other about when he came to the United States, and because of his dialect, he really struggled with the word beach and sunny beaches, basically. So, and he had to give a report, and he was just as talking about his beaches of Venezuela, and they have
Very first day of school in Oregon City, I knew no English, and the teacher asked me to talk about Venezuela. So I talked about the many hot, beautiful, cheap beaches.
Beaches.
Completely mispronounced that were
Cheap ones.
in Venezuela.
Hot, cheap beaches,
They were close to my
bitches.
house, and you could go there with your family. They were perfect and beautiful, and they were everywhere. So yes.
and I've never
A
forgotten.
lot of people ask me after the class,
Can't script this stuff,
where's
people.
Venezuela at? I mean, they really wanted to know
Where
where Venezuela was at. I was like, yeah. So it's
When they
a true
think when he
story.
says it, he says
It's a true story.
Minnesota.
Yeah,
He said, no, not Minnesota, Venezuela. Yeah, Minnesota. No, Venezuela.
Yeah, that too. That's a very common one as well.
yeah, and I've
I
never
love you, brother.
forgotten
You
that.
killed it, man. That was awesome, man.
Yeah. So
And because our brother Guy is not here tonight, I got to go and say main content.
main content, y'all. This is part 2 of our Killer Instinct series, and we had an incredible discussion last time on that, and it's all based on the fact that I received an email. Basically, the question was very simple: was what makes somebody a killer versus somebody that's just a hunter? And they didn't mean it in a bad way. What they meant is somebody that gets the job done, that goes out there and year after year, they're the ones that are punching tags. And what what is it that they have? What is it that they do, and how do we get that? That's the question, right? And really, we always dance around that whole thing about killing. Look, we're bow hunters, we're hunters, we kill. We don't kill, we don't murder, we kill. We don't kill indiscriminately. We take a life, a valuable life that we use for sustenance, to put food on our table, and to share with our families. So, and some people are better than others at that, right? And
Yeah, also in the name of conservation, brother. Also in the name of conservation, we do things to help manage the land and the animals that inhabit it.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
we don't waste the resources. We use as much of the resources we can, and what resource we leave, it goes back to the animals and back to the earth. So
Yep.
for our brethren out there that oppose this lifestyle, we want you to know that we love you too. And hopefully, if you're listening, and if somebody's listening out there that hates our guts because we do this, we hope that we can educate you and enlighten you on the reasons why we do things. Right?
There is no more honorable thing than in the hunt, especially. And everybody has their different ways of showing respect. And then there's those people that don't show respect. There's that in everything, in every angle of life. And all we can do is continue to do what we're doing right now, and to teach and to preach and to help people to be able to do things. And I'm not going to say the right way, but in a way that honors the animal and that shows respect for the animal and values the animal, right?
Yeah,
And
no malice.
yeah, there is no.
know,
That's in the song.
Yeah. My brother Luis invited me to his place in Oklahoma last week, and I took a really nice boar hog there with my bow, and man, I cried after I did it. It was an emotional thing. I'm telling you, I get emotional just about every time I walk up on an animal. My son took a beautiful nilgai this weekend, and I mean, we prayed over that animal's soul, and thank God for it. It was an emotional event. But Joe knows, every bull I've ever killed, I'll shed a tear. Heck, I cried more than Luis did at his bull that he killed in Canada. I was a mess. I mean, it's just very spiritual what we do, and we have a connection with those animals.
And
there's no malice in our heart.
no, and see, and that's the thing. Like, I know how Gil is and his emotions, and I love that about Gilbert. In fact, the first time that he killed a bull with me, the genuine happiness that was there, and the gratitude for the moment, and the tears, it was all. And then you have me, that I'm almost very, I don't know, I'm very calm. There's one time I lost it, and
Definitely.
there was a reason for it.
Little chink in the armor.
Yeah, there was a big chink in the armor, and it was because of that guy. It was that guy over there. But generally, I'm very businesslike. I'm more cat-like, I guess, in that way. That I have that animal there. I'm such in a focused. My eyes are glazed over. I get the job done. Then I get on the animal. I always thank it, but I do things in a different way that don't really go out. They're more internalized. That's just my way. And all of us have that. And there's no right or wrong way, right? We all deal with that the way we deal with it. Luis has his way, Randy, how are you after a kill?
That's kind of evolved over the years. When I was younger, I just could not contain my excitement. If I shot an animal, everybody knew it. I was yelling, screaming, until I screwed it up. I shot one. I shot a javelina one time and watched him fall over and hooped and hollered. And guess what that javelina did? Jumped up and took off, right? Yeah. And so that was a good learning lesson for me. But I still have that same adrenaline dump. I'm sure we all do. We all express our emotions differently, and what we let out for other people to see, I think, is different. But I would say I'm probably in between Gilbert and Joe. I do get emotional. I'm very, very grateful, and I believe in God and a higher power, and the gift that every animal that we take is, and I don't take that lightly at all. Yeah. So, I may not always let it out with tears, but the emotions are there for sure.
I actually show more emotion when it's somebody else with me.
Yeah, me too.
I actually take so much more joy in that, and it just that's overwhelming. I just love that part of it. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, when Luis and I were together this weekend, he almost passed out. He was so daggum hyperventilating, man. We in the Venezuelans, they call it vitolakis, and it's that buck fever that we call it, or adrenaline dump that you get. But man, after I shot that thing, I thought he was going to fall over, man. And both of us were very excited and stuff like that. First of all, it took forever for it to happen, so we had to have the patience of Job to watch it unfold, But at the end of the day, it was a phenomenal hunt, and it ended with a glorious mystical flight of the arrow finding its mark. So
It
there's
didn't
nothing
fly
better
long.
than that, huh?
Hey, Luis, has that evolved for you, man? Because has that evolved for you, Luis? Because I know, early on, I mean, dude, you would just, and not before and not during, but as soon as as soon as that animal got hit and goes off, man, you were just like, wow.
On glue.
Yeah.
Yeah. It hasn't changed much. I try to, when it depends on what the animal does. Like if the animal tips over and falls in front of my eyes, yes, I just let it go. And I was like, I come on glue. I was like, yeah, I get all excited. But if I don't see where the animal goes, it's just like kind of like the hunt's still not over.
Right.
It's not over
You
yet,
go
and I
into
need to kind of
hunt
keep
mode.
myself
Hunt
together
begins.
until
Yep.
figure out what's going on.
Mhm.
Am I going to get another shot? Where did he go? And all that stuff. It's just I'm still engaged in the hunt. But yeah, the elk in Canada, uh, it was like a garage sale, man. When I came out of them woods, Jason was outside. He didn't know what was going on, and I came out screaming, things flying, and he was scared. He thought it was a bear following me or something. He was about to take off running too, and I just dogpiled him, man, and he didn't know what was going on. He was so confused, and I was like, it's down, and so, and then I had to go back and spend an hour looking for my GoPro, for my hat, my glasses, like everything was just all over the place, right? So, yeah.
I love it. So, going into our content about the killer instinct in the series that we're talking about, there are some elk hunters that just have that, and hunters and people in life that just have that winning juice, So with yourselves or other people you have seen, and I'm actually going to go to Chav. I want Chav to hit this first because Chav is the quiet one in the group. Chav is probably the most observant person I know, and we do a lot of talking. We talk to each other a lot, so I know how his mind works, and I know, the things that he notices and that he sees. And Chav, for you, Chav has killed 16 elk or something like that. I mean, the guy he's a killer. He's a silent killer. He doesn't say a whole lot. And Chav doesn't show a whole lot of emotion. He's very even keeled, but he's that way about everything in life, right? With you, Chav, and you have been around people, and yet, and I've listened to you in sports, and you always can recognize certain traits that people have that that person is an ace, that person is going to get it done. I mean, you can, and you're doing it all the time in sports, and I think you do it with the people that you've been hunting with.
Yeah.
So what is it that speaks that to you, that those people are the people that are the killers that are just going to get it done?
Well, I know for a lot of the people that are killers, they have this competitive drive. They want to succeed. And that's the same thing with our athletes. You can tell who's real competitive, who isn't. And usually when they're real competitive, they're real persistent in what they're doing. If they fail one or two times, they get up and go after it again. And they adapt to the situation at hand. Sometimes everything seems perfect, but at the last second, the wind may shift, or you find out that you're not in a shooting lane. You have to adapt to the situation. And there's some people that adapt automatically, and some people will just sit there and let that elk walk by them, without doing anything. And of course, preparation, if you're not sure about your shooting ability you pretty much lost the game. You got to be ready. And if you have the ability to gauge distances without having to use your range finder, that's a super plus there, because that takes a little bit of time unless you're hunting with somebody. So preparation is big time, and a lot of it's mental preparation. Just be ready for the moment. A lot of times when I do shoot an animal, I don't get excited right away, because until you find it, you really can't celebrate. And sometimes it takes a while to find the animal, so you kind of lost that excitement. It's more of a relief thing, like, because the biggest elk I ever shot was a perfect shot. It was probably 12 paces, big giant 6x6, double lung. It left a blood trail that a blind person could follow, but it happened near twilight, so we had to leave it alone and come back later. And we came back later and found a spot that a big old circle of blood, and then nothing at all. And what happened was the coyotes or a bear came by and spooked it just enough for it to jump and do its death run without leaving any trace before it went. And we spent hours and hours just kind of on our hands and knees. Never found it, but maybe it was probably a good thing it happened early in my hunting career. But every time I shoot something, if I don't see it go down, like Louis said, can't really celebrate yet, because you never know what's going to happen. And that's the thing with hunting. You never know what's going to happen. You can do every step correctly and still not collect, the animal you're looking for. Now, I'm real competitive. I may not seem like it, but when you have a brother that's 2 years younger than you, and you compete at everything, cards, basketball, flag football, that's pretty much how I grew up, and we competed in everything, and I didn't mind losing, but I give it an extra effort the next time out. So I think that's what made me competitive, and I can see that in some people. I know when I'm with Gilbert and he draws his bow back, it's like, okay, we got a kill happening here, because I know Gilbert's prepared, especially with his shooting. He draws back, he finds the pin he knows. And even I think the first time I saw him, where he shot his big bull, I didn't range it for him. He kind of ranged the distance himself, and it was uphill. There were little weeds and stuff in the way, and he made the perfect shot. So, when he draws back, I know the animal's dead. But he prepared for that, and we adapt, and he adapted to the situation. We were calling a lot that morning, and it turned out that we walked away and just happened to glance at a cow elk, and we thought, well, we don't need a call. Let's just get close, see what happens. And we ran into a herd. So, I think you got to adapt to the situation. You got to be persistent, and not everything's going to fall in order. That's just what hunting is. And I think it's just, you also have to have a positive mindset. I'm going to go out there and kill something. And if it doesn't happen, or at least enjoy the hunt, be observant, very observant. I don't know if I answered your question or if I just kind of rambled, but
no, you absolutely answered my question, because you're so good at observing, and you see those things, and when you are a competitor, you recognize competitors. You know what I mean? I think a killer recognizes another killer. I mean,
real recognizes real.
Absolutely, and
game knows game.
And it's funny, because Randy said something to me, and he has a lot of. I can tell this guy, I know that he's got it and he understands it. And there was a sentence that you had in there that, So the question still is, what sets some hunters apart from others? And your number one answer, and it's funny, you kind of contradict from what you said earlier, because there was a sentence that you said that, well, first of all, I think it's experience, and then next, I think it's personality traits. And then you come back when you answer that question and you ask it again, you said that I think the answer is in the individual personality traits. So I'm going to let you carry on from there. So explain that.
Yeah, and first, I hope this isn't out of line at all. I've listened to every single episode. When I latch onto something, I do it all the way, and I've listened to every episode, and I've never heard Chav talk as much, and I just feel privileged to be here to hear that and hear the story.
Now you get to see the type of mentorship I had for many years on my shoulder, man. This dude is the baddest dude on the planet, man. Really is, and he don't need to say it because we all know it.
And
it is what it is.
I want to explain competitor, and I want people to really see this, because I do a lot of talking. I'm just that type of person. I'm very excitable, very emotional, very passionate, and whatever I'm thinking comes out my daggone mouth. What you see is what you're going to get. Chav's not like that. He's very calculated, he's very quiet, and when he says something, you had better listen. And people that mistake his stature, his size, and his quietness for a lack of competitiveness. So this guy is a
Hall of Famer.
He's a Hall of Fame cross-country runner, and this guy would run in races now, and this is what I'm saying. He would run in races to the point, and I'm not saying that this is a good thing to do, but he would run to the point of coughing up blood. He would actually be running so hard that he would cause his airway and stuff to bleed, in what he was doing, and not stop. That's just, it's kind of like you've seen people that will ride a horse, and a horse will go, 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 go till they die, right? And that's Leroy Chavez, man. And that competitiveness, what's that?
Not too bright.
But
tough as shit.
I'll take the not too bright over the fight any day, because
any day.
It's that exact competitiveness why he's sitting with us right now, because when he fought cancer, when he was down to 90 something pounds, and most people would have been done, and he faced it with I don't know if I can say, I wouldn't say he faced it with courage. I wouldn't say bravery. He faced it with courage, but more than anything, he faced it with fight. He faced it because he's a competitor, and he's a fighter.
Faith.
Yeah.
Faith that could move mountains, dude.
And so I just wanted to add that, because when you talk about Chav, a lot of people, and Chav's not going to be the type that's going to say this about himself, right? So I just want to make sure I get that out there, because that's why that's my brother, and that's why we've been hunting partner for so many years, and so you, Randy, it was great to hear that, man.
Yeah, and it's a privilege and an honor to be here for that. Trust me. So, back to your question for me and the contradiction, and I think when I look back at it, I kind of wrote that letter just out of my mind. And as I was listening to the podcast, I was driving home, and I wanted so bad to just interrupt you guys and talk to you and just be part of the group. It was in there, and I just wanted to let it out. And I think, as you were just describing Chav, I think you kind of hit the key word that really is the bottom of all this, and it's determination. And you didn't say that word, but that's really what it is. I think, competitiveness and determination kind of go hand in hand. And I think that may be the ultimate number one trait. I think if you look at everybody on this panel right here in this Zoom call, it's probably not just hunting. That if you make your mind up that you're going to do something, you're going to do it, and nothing's going to get in your way.
Yeah,
and if you
come
fall
hell or
down,
high water.
Get up, and if there's a hurdle in the way, you're going to jump over the hurdle, and you're going to make it happen. You're not going to complain about the circumstances. You're just going to figure it out. But I think the other part of that was I think those personality traits also lend themselves to the experience piece that I was talking about, because I think some people can go out and we'll just use hunting, can go out in the woods and have an experience and have a failure. And they're just like, okay, well, that sucks. That was kind of fun or whatever. And they move on. And others are going to have that experience, and it's going to mean more. It's going to hit deeper, and it's going to imprint. And that was kind of where I was going with that. And so I looked at the title of the podcast was Killer Instinct. And so, as I was driving and thinking, I was like, instinct. I kept going back to the word instinct. And I do think that humans have instincts. I mean, I think, if you're in danger to run, I don't think somebody necessarily teaches you that. There's some instincts there. But some of what we were talking about when you talk about specific scenarios of, why do you do this, or why do you make this decision, or why do you feel you should do this? That's really what I was getting to, is I think a lot of that is based on those, what I called emotional imprints. And so you start, in this case, hunting, and you screw something up and it cuts you deep and you're mad at yourself and you're angry. And if you're that type of person that's, competitive and determined and you're going to move on, that means something. And 30 years later, even when that memory isn't there of that failure, that specific failure, that emotional imprint is still there.
Sure.
And it's still what's pushing
It's
you.
experience. Yeah.
Hey, I shouldn't do that. Or, hey, I should do something else. In fact, for me, and I can only speak for me, there's times where my mind will override those imprints. I will overthink something, and generally that's wrong.
Yeah.
I really need to go back to
your
that
gut.
feeling. The gut feeling. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that answers what you were asking, Joe, but that's kind of a summary of the letter. Really was just talking about, I think it's a combination of things when it comes specifically to hunting, that I think it takes that competitive nature and that determination and that person who's going to do whatever it takes to be
I think
successful.
it's a culmination. I think it's a culmination of those things that drive that killer, right? That drive that insatiable ability to finish, right? Many people have talked to Michael Jordan and asked him why he was such a great finisher. And the first thing he said is, because I want the ball with the game on the line. I want the ball. So when you start out with wanting this, and like you said, being competitive, that's the first step into being successful in anything you do, is wanting it, right? And having an insatiable ability to want something so bad, nobody's going to deny you. Right?
Big O, you stole that from me. I swear you did.
I didn't, man. I didn't.
I wrote that down.
You wrote that down.
That was the first question. I was like, how bad? So it boils down to how bad you want it.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It boils down to how bad.
When you waking up on day 3 or day 4 and you've had your teeth kicked in and that mountain's whipped your tail and it's 20 degrees outside, pretty easy to stack them chips up and say, I'm going to go ahead and catch another, 4 hours of sleep, instead of getting out of bed and going out there and putting the work in to make it happen. You got to be there to make it happen. It won't happen if you sat in the rack. My grandpa told me 1,000,000 times, we can't kill anything from camp. We can only drink beer and tell lies and stuff like that at the campfire. If you want to do something and you want to harvest something, you better get your tail out there in the woods and make it happen. And I think everybody that has that type of killer instinct, they have that drive, right? And if they don't, they're not very successful at what they're doing. I promise you.
Also, by the way, Michael Jordan is better than LeBron, just in case you guys are wondering.
Yeah.
Touche, absolutely.
Yeah, boy.
100%.
And I'm just going to throw this into that, because he made people around him better.
Oh,
So-
yeah.
Amen.
Yeah.
He made the mediocre player a great player. And that's the difference between being great and good. A million good players out there. But can you make everybody else around you good instead of just being great, right? Instead of being mediocre. That's what Michael did that others in the game couldn't do and still can't. If you watch the game today, there's nobody out there doing that, right?
So-
they're just not.
So, Luis, I'm going to ask you this, and Mondo, I want you to jump in with him, and you guys can either square off, debate, or add, or whatever. But it's some people, and whether it be a Jordan or anybody, some people seem to have these abilities in any situation to succeed, whether they are experienced or not. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So why is that?
Yeah. So I I I learned this when I had my two kids. So my two daughters, they're born pretty much under the same conditions. They were raised pretty much the same way in the same household, same culture. Um, but they come pre-wired, Joe. They they come pre-wired. I mean, yes, you can influence their behavior, you can influence, their culture and all that stuff, but the way they are is the way they are. I mean, there's a core that comes pre-wired that you can't change. And I feel like, you know, when the difference between a hunter and a killer, there's a portion that is pre-wired, and that portion is, you guys have already said it, it sounds cliche, but it's drive. But I think that when you connect drive with the ability to connect the dots and really understand your environment and kind of connect dots and start making sense of things, if you combine that drive with the ability to connect dots, which in my opinion, you're born with that, but now you match it up with passion, then forget it. You got a killer. That's what, to me, that's the juice that makes the difference. If you combine those three things, then you're going to have somebody, like Randy said, that is going to be persistent, that is going to be connecting dots and learning from experiences and becoming better and better and better every time. So that is honestly, like, to me, how you would boil down that formula, if you can connect those things, because you'll have the hunter that will be good. It might be somebody that connects the dots really well and has a great drive, and they may go on a hunt, they do really well, and maybe they harvest and then they're done. They don't come back, they don't do it again, or that was it for them. They check the box and they're moving on to the next thing. When you connect it with passion, then you have a group of guys like we have right here on this panel.
Well said. I'm not debating that, man. Luis, I think the way you explained it was beautiful with we're pre-wired, like I have two kids, and I 1 billion% agree. They're both different. There's 4 siblings I grew up with. We're all different. And, we all had the same everything growing up, and we're 100% different from all 4 of us. You would never know. So yeah. I think that's a great way to put it. I read the notes, Joe, and I wrote down a couple of things. So I think one way to get somebody, if you're not the one born, with the natural born instinct where, your lineage goes back thousands of years as killers, like otherwise your DNA strand wouldn't be around. Like, it's in you somewhere. If that's pretty weak in you, like, I would say this is the advice I would give to somebody who doesn't think they're a killer or wants to make that step to be a killer. Number one is your attitude. You have to have a good attitude when you're out there, because if not, that 30 degree day feels like 20 feels like 10. The pack feels too heavy, the shot's too far, the mountain's too steep. Like, your attitude is the one thing that you can walk into the mountain and control 100% of the time. And if you have a strong mindset, everything else comes easier. So with that strong mindset and a good attitude, you gain confidence, because you convince yourself, hey, I made it up that mountain, I can make it up the next mountain. It's just a snowball effect that you build on yourself if you allow yourself to. So with that comes practice, it comes preparation in preseason. But it's only something that you can give yourself. You can't listen to all of these episodes. You can't do, there's only so much you can do and take from the outside, but you have to believe it for yourself and be willing to put that in there and put the work in. That being said, with the confidence part, if you do go out and try something new, don't get discouraged if it doesn't work. You know, you're building. Like you won't know that it doesn't work until you try it. So you have to be strong enough mentally to say, hey, I'm going to try it this way this time. Maybe, maybe I need to do something different. And there's a billion different analogies we can use, but don't be afraid to change, because where you're hunting at in your specific country and, location and everything changes too much for us to give you a 100% answer. But if you have the ability to say, I need to adapt and do it this way, and you keep a strong confidence about why you're doing it and with yourself, like, I just think that goes a very, very long way. So it's a little bit of a ramble, but the last thing that I have is keep it simple. Don't overthink it. A lot of us, I think, especially with the questions that come in, as much as I appreciate them, the elk is going to need food, water, and shelter. When it boils down to it,
breed.
they're going to be breeding. So depending on what season you're hunting, if you boil it down to those things, like, really, that's caveman. We need to figure out those things and don't overthink it. Keep it simple. Give yourself an opportunity by having a good attitude, and don't think that you're going to close on every opportunity, because nobody on this show does. But
I think I am.
Yeah.
I think I am. I might not, but
I believe I am.
I believe I am.
Try. Yeah, you got to go. Indecision is the worst decision. So
man.
You can't sit there and think, oh, I don't know if I could get to him. I don't know if I should call. I don't know if
you give me a crack, I'm going through it.
Exactly. Yeah. I think that's a huge part. A lot of people are like, man, I thought about this. I thought about raking. I'm like, bro, you got to go. It ain't gonna, very rarely do they walk to you for no reason.
Paralysis by analysis.
That's right.
So
paralysis by analysis. Yeah. A lot of guys, draw your bow, bro. He'll walk right out of your life if you don't draw that bow, man. You're going to figure out a way to get that arrow loose if you draw,
and Mando, and that's such a good point, man, as far as the attitude.
Yeah.
And I've said this before, the mountain's going to test you. And it's so therapeutic.
Yeah, yep. Great word.
Look at that. I mean, coming up in the world with pronunciation.
Vocabulary.
Pronunciation.
Pronunciation, bro.
So, but it is, man, you're up there, and again, I think elk hunting has made such a big shift in me internally, and the way I see life, and reflect upon things, and just the mountain puts you to the test, and it brings out the best and the worst in you, and it makes you realize, holy crap, I got so much crap to work on.
And there's a saying that it doesn't build character, it reveals it, and
that's great.
Who's got that dog in them?
Because I've never, there's a competition out there. I really, first of all, I think one of my driving things has always been when somebody tells me that I can't do something. Mm-hmm. If somebody tells me I can't do something, man, it's, that's where that whole unicycle mentality comes from, right? Is that, I'm going to show you that it can be done. I love for people to try to put barriers or boundaries, or say, this is as far as it can. You take a look, and Chav and I have worked with athletes and watched, what's happened, throughout when the Olympics were back in the 60s and stuff like that. And you watch how athletes, how like high school and collegiate athletes now are doing the things that Olympic athletes were doing and going beyond what they thought was possible. It's that whole thing of possibility. If you believe that it is possible, and then you're willing to put yourself out there and you do it without
Do the
any
work.
fear.
Yeah.
And I think that's the one word that I feel encumbers a lot of people is the word fear. The fear of failure, right? The fear of the monsters under the bed. And what I mean by that is a lot of times we make up things that are going to affect us before they ever do. We always, stress and worry about, well, what if this or what if that? And I'm not a what if dude, right? I'm calculating, kind of a chessboard out there. If this happens, I'm always thinking so many steps ahead like that. But that's the competitor. That's trying to figure it out. That's trying to make sure you're able to adapt, that there's no straight line to anything, now
be willing to blow it up to finish it.
And the other thing is I, as an athlete, I also learned how to use deception and manipulate other people and not people, but critters and what they do naturally, manipulate that to my benefit, to find those weaknesses, to find my own weaknesses and make them stronger, right? And you can, in any situation, that's why I hear people, and we're so quick to go, well, I didn't get one today because it was too windy. And I mean, Chav used to have a t-shirt and it had like, it was too windy. It was too hot. It was, they were bugling. Well, they weren't bugling enough. And, you had all of these, it was for athletics and it had all of these excuses. And in every situation that there's a negative, there's a way to overcome it, right? If you want to, again, the attitude to do that, to overcome. But I really think that, like fear, I think a lot of people, they're not going to go over that next hill because they don't want to lose where they can see from the hill they just came from. They don't want to get too far from camp, or they don't want to get too far from this fence line, or they don't, want to get close enough into a situation where, it's tight and they don't have, they fear that moment of what they're going to be able to do instead of getting excited about it and cherishing that moment and saying, bring it. And I've always been the type that when I coached and in my life and how I am, I want to find that big dog that can kick my butt. And I want to go after it. I want to find the biggest dude on the team, and I want to go after that dude, right? Because that's my challenge, and that's the way that I get knocked down. So
we're going to do it again.
Get back up, I think that's one thing that my dad taught me. I can remember being a freshman in high school and getting in a fight with this junior that was a bigger dude than me. And my dad said, when you go back to school, jump on him, right? Well, we go at it, and I end up getting pounded a little bit. He gets pounded a little bit, and then he says, the next day he gets close to you, jump on him again, and it's like, that dude's going to get tired of that, If you're just that persistent, if you're just that dog on the bone, you can get it done. It might hurt a little bit. It might be tough, but boy, at the end of the day, bloody beat and knuckles and whatever it takes, you got a smile on your face, and you feel proud about the accomplishment, man. So I rambled myself. So anyway.
Well, I think this is a subject you can ramble on, Joe. At the end of the day, what does it make? What is the difference between a killer and a hunter? It's a $1 million question. And how do you give it to somebody?
So
I don't know that we give it to anybody. They have to take it. They have to take that. And I can't give it to Luis. When he started hunting with us, he took the opportunity to learn and to fail and all of those things, right? he was given the one opportunity to come and hang out with the crew, and he made it a point to get better every time because he found a passion that he truly loved. And I dig that about him. He is an absolute hammer on the mountain. One of the best archers you'll ever find. His calling is phenomenal. The dude is just a killer, right? But he didn't come out that way, Joe. He didn't come out that way. He took the opportunity to learn, and then with the passion that he has, he got better every day, right? So I think it's real hard to give it to somebody. What we can do is give opportunities for those things to people to learn from you, but they have to have that, if you give me an inch, I'm going to take a mile kind of thing where they want to learn, and they want to fail, and they're not afraid of failing.
I think you can inspire.
Yeah.
I think you can inspire. I think you can teach. But at the end of the day, it's the ones that want to aspire to that inspiration, right? Yeah. And they want to feel that. And it took, that DNA spark that Armando was talking about, right? So for you guys that are listening to us right now and trying to determine, how you can be successful, well, one thing that Randy said in his thing is that he really believed that experience was number one factor combined with a multitude of personality traits. I honestly believe that a person can succeed with those personality traits put in a situation just because they are going to fight their way to succeed. And then they can gain that experience. And here's where you guys that have never been in the mountains, when my older brother tells me, don't step in that hole because it's going to hurt. Well, I know not to step in that hole without ever getting hurt. I can learn from somebody else's experience. I think you can do that. I think you can. But the only problem is wherever we're from, we get a perception of something according to our environment and where we're at, right? So a lot of times when we get there, it's not how we saw it. Like and I've said this before, if I said the word boat right now, every one of you has an image in your mind of what a boat is, right? I know Luis has got a big old yacht. It's like 40 foot or something like that going on, but
no, it's one of them Indian canoes.
Canoe, huh? So, but everybody has a different, just because of where you're from. I know when I was coming to New Mexico and they said, that there's a forest on the outside of Albuquerque. Well, I get there and find out it ain't what I thought it was. It wasn't what I thought it was, bro. I come from completely wooded area where you can't see your neighbor, right? And I land in there, man, there's just rocks and dirt when I first got there.
So when you see yourself in the mirror, you think handsome?
Every day of the week. That's the confidence right there, man. That's the confidence.
Well, I got news for you, bro.
It's unwavered confidence, right? Yes. Unwavered, right? No matter what, dude. It's unwavered confidence.
So the thing that I want to say is I do think that people can get some experience. They can get a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge from somebody else's experience.
Sure.
Then when they get in the environment, it's going to be a not as long of a learning curve to put the pieces together.
Connecting the dots, like I was talking about.
Yeah, connecting the dots.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, so, it takes an adaptability to be able to do that. I mean, I got some really smart friends of mine that, they're pretty decent hunters, but they're not killers, man. They go out and sometimes they mess up and, they don't do this or they don't do that. And then they go to blaming things instead of understanding it. It's that inner thing that they have that they got to work on that takes it to the next level. I love them and everything, but they're not killers, man.
Yeah.
They don't know how to finish, and they enjoy the process. They don't embody that finish.
Mondo?
Yeah. Well, I wanted to bring some up. Gil, you had mentioned it earlier, and it kind of comes back to the ElkBros adventures and to what we're talking about here. But you're talking to and inviting somebody who's not from our community, from our world, and telling them how we love doing this. Like, we are conservationists. Like, there's so many reasons that we're passionate about it, that we work hard at it, and that we're willing to bring other people in. So with the ElkBros Adventures, just the model that you guys have created, I just think is genius, because you're not, because I'll guide hunters, through an outfitter. And a lot of the ones that I've done in the past are me hunting and somebody with me. They're not there to learn, and I feel that I'm, a teacher naturally. So at certain points in learning experiences, I would share this knowledge with them. If they took it and learned anything from it, that's on them to take, if that's what they were looking for. But the model that you guys have is just genius, because you are bringing people in to show them, and you're not doing it for them. You're providing an opportunity to learn, to gather these instincts, and to put all these things together that we're talking about, and gain that confidence all in one. Like, as you were talking about it earlier, I was just thinking, like, this is exactly, you're not talking about it. This is what you do and what you offer. So for somebody who is looking to put all of these lessons together, connect the dots, have a good attitude, be in an adverse situation, like, I cannot think of, and this is not a shameless plug, like, I'm proud to say it, I cannot think of anything else other than the ElkBros Adventures that gives this opportunity to answer this question in person, to see if you are this, you do have the ability. It's just up to you as the hunter to take those steps. I just wanted to say that.
Amen, bro. Appreciate that, brother.
Yeah, thank you, man. I think
we believe that too, man. Wholeheartedly, we believe it.
Yeah, it's so cool when you see the light bulbs go on. What bothered me, and I'll tell you, is before we started doing this, and I would invite somebody into my elk camp, and Luis knows this, Gil knows this. We've had people that have come into our elk camp that I'm like, it can be sometimes the first time, and I'm like, yeah, they won't be back, or it could be the second time. RC, you're very particular about who you have in camp, aren't you?
Most definitely. Most definitely. I've got a few comments myself. I don't personally like to be called a killer.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a harvester. I harvest animals so I can eat them for my family. And
yes, sir.
A killer is just, I go off on a deep end there. So I just wanted to make that comment. When you're out in the woods, there's just something about it. I mean, you're walking with God, and He's there. And if you'll turn to Him, He'll help you in any way you want and show you the direction you need to go. You just have to have, and you got to, what's the word? Stop and smell the roses.
Yeah.
You got to stop and think about where you're at and what's happening. And one of the things that I had wrote down earlier is that, when the opportunity comes, everybody wants to kill a big bull. I mean, that's the big thing, I want to kill a bull. I want to kill a bull. Well, don't hesitate to take an animal. When you do that, it just makes you that much better of a hunter. In other words, the next time it comes up, you know what to do and how to do it. So it's a process.
What'd you tell me when I first started hunting with you, RC? After your first one, it gets easier.
Absolutely.
Son.
Oh, yes. Most definitely.
It gets easier. And they did not lie. It's every day I hunt with these guys, with RC Knox, Joe Gillia, Chav, Luis Gonzalez. I'm telling you, I feel like we're going to kill an elk every time we step in the woods, man.
Yep.
These guys are the best of the very best. And it's the mentality that these guys possess and the wisdom that they have, that's through years of experience, no doubt, but it's definitely the mental fortitude that's more important than the physical. I can get out physical all day on that mountain. I have lung issues, all kinds of stuff, but my mental preparation, I know if I can get there, it's going to happen, right? It may take me a little longer than everybody else, and I might need to figure a better route, but I promise you, if I get there, something's going to be harvested, RC, for sure, right? And you were right. For years, I hunted with Joe, with RC and Chav, and I passed on bulls, and I made them crazy mad at me. And they're like, if you just pull back one time, this is going to get so much easier for you, son. You know, I finally wised up and listened, but it's that mental toughness that you got to have, the persistence, man. It's the je ne sais quoi of it all is that persistence, you know.
I didn't know you were well versed in French.
It just hit me all of a sudden, man.
I think the thing that helped me the most was I didn't have that luxury. I mean, for me, I didn't have the days, and I needed to put something in the freezer. And so when I was hunting, now the only time me and Chav, we knew that if we killed out right away, the hunt was over. Sometimes that was one reason that, that you just
you and I've had that happen, right? You and I've had that happen.
Yeah.
We call him in and go, you shoot him. Oh, I thought you were going to shoot him. Yeah.
But if you want to realize, I mean, and if you've been somebody that's been hunting for a long time and experienced this, you can realize how much we encumber our own successes, because like a lot of times after you do kill an animal and your tag is already punched and you're out there, it seems like now you have elk all over you, like they're within feet of you all the time. And it's because you go at it differently, because you're not encumbering yourself with putting this stress on you, or do I have to take the shot, or putting this urgency. You're just in the moment, enjoying it.
That big monkey, or may I say that big gorilla on your back.
What's that aura? You let off an aura.
It's
an aura. How you like that word, huh?
I love it.
You let off an aura. I'm done. I mean,
we might
animals
just
are
call
your friends
this.
then.
We got to rename this podcast. It's like literature lessons of the elk hunting community.
ElkBros literature lesson.
ElkBros literature lesson.
I keep getting a raised hand from Luis too.
It's just because every time I talk with my hands all over the place, and the thing recognizes my hand being raised.
No, I think in this series, I'm hoping that all of you that are listening to this, because honestly, we have Randy right here with us, and we feel like all of you guys are right here with us, and we give these messages because we're trying to share with you the experiences, both good, bad, ugly, and you can call this whatever you want. You can feel about the name whatever you want. People describe things differently, but the basis of what we're talking about, it's not just about elk hunting alone. Again, elk hunting is an interface. This is an attitude that's going to help you in everything in your life, whether
everything.
So that's the thing that I'm hoping that you pick up, because this is not only coaching for elk hunting, this is life coaching. And you can share this, and please do share this. Have those excited, passionate conversations with your nieces, your nephews, your sons, your daughters, with your neighbor, with your brothers, with your sisters. Have those conversations, because I tell you what, when you are passionate like this about something, it becomes contagious, and people want to be a part of that. I really don't think a lot of you guys learn any more from us than you do from, Corey and Dirk and Randy and John and all these people that are out there that are such great hunters.
Cameron, Joe.
Yeah, and that are absolute killers out there. But I think the reason that you might listen with us is because you you do see, understand, and feel the passion that comes from this group. And yeah, go ahead, Luis.
You know, when you talked about sharing that and passing it down and communicating that, and I had an incredible experience with my daughter this season. Um, she actually got to shoot a doe, and it was a bad shot. I mean, it was, we I knew the shot was a little back, and I knew it was going to be challenging finding her, so we backed out. And I could tell that she didn't say anything, but I could tell it was affecting her a little bit, right? So I said, look, I'm going to go look for the doe. Do you want to come with me, or do you rather stay, and I'll call you because, it may take a little bit. And she's like, no, I want to go with you, Dad. I said, all right, okay, great. Just stay on my six and then just be close to me and we'll track her as much as we can. We did a lot of tracking, and I was super proud of her because we spent hours doing it and she didn't complain one bit, and she kept on looking and looking and looking. And then it came to a point where I was like, we lost blood trail, and we were just going, nowhere at that point. And I told her, I said, look, we lost blood trail. We've been at it for hours. It's time to call it, and it's okay. I mean, these things happen. And she's like, so that means we're not gonna find her? I was like, no, I don't think so. So she's wounded. I was like, yeah, she's wounded. Is she gonna die? I said, honey, I don't know. Probably, but I don't know. And then she started crying, and she's like, and I was like, what's going on? And she's like, I just feel horrible. I feel bad that she's suffering. And I said, look, you're absolutely right. And I want you to embrace that feeling, because that's exactly why people like you should be hunters. It's people that respect and care for the animals. And that's what you have displayed today. So that's the kind of people like you is the kind of people that we need as hunters. And this only makes me super proud of what you have displayed today, because again, this is the kind of people that represent us, and you are the kind of people that represent us. And this only has to be a drive for you to be better, to improve. And I said, look, this is not all your fault. I made a lot of mistakes here on this hunt. And I explained to her why. I kind of made her rush the shot. And so I explained that to her as well. And she recovered emotionally from it. But I was extremely, extremely proud of that. And to your point of passing it down, I think that's the message, because we care, because we honor and respect the animal, because we don't want to make the animal suffer. That's the kind of people that we need to represent us.
Yep,
so
absolutely, man. Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah, you're very well said. Very well said. Go ahead, Mondo.
Yeah. And I think this has been a great series. When I talked about digging in, I think we dug to the root, and I think we can talk about experience. Yes, I think confidence. All of this stuff comes together to create confidence, right? And
Full circle. Yep.
It is. It's all of these that come together to make the whole.
Connected.
And you take somebody that's passionate, you take somebody that has the personality traits, you take somebody with the experience, and then you take somebody that is not going to give up on it, and you put all of those things together with the skill sets that you continually develop to become the best archer, to become the best at knowing the animal and their behaviors, and then your area, and then the ground, the terrain, how to use it, the strategies. And you take all of those things and you put those together, and that's where you get that dynamite, feeling that you get those people that are going to go into the woods, and anytime they go in the woods, they can punch a tag. Right? Does that mean they're always going to? No. I mean, we're all human, and these animals, they live to survive, right? So,
Yeah.
but that's all part of it, man. That's why it's a hunt. That's
Yeah.
what it's
It's
about.
developed killer instinct, right? Developed
Yep.
killer instinct, you know. You watch Joe at nature. I think nature's the cruelest thing of all, right?
Big time.
I saw
I wouldn't
a
say
young
cruel. I'd say hard. Because again, there's no.
cruel.
Yeah.
It's cold and calculated. Everything that lives in that environment is fighting to survive,
Trying to
right?
survive and trying to
And
eat something else.
yeah, and
Exactly.
you know, you can watch if you watch a elk cow that get taken down in the Yellowstone by wolves. That is a brutal way to pass away. But that is nature in its finest hour, right? Being displayed on the strong survive. And at the end of the day, we're not doing that. We don't brutally kill animals. We harvest them and then we use their meat just like you would go to the store and buy beef that was slaughtered
We
at a slaughterhouse,
we
right?
we're,
But
we're not
for
always completely efficient, but we work
right.
to be as efficient as we
Oh my
can.
gosh.
Because we are,
Absolutely.
and that's the one thing I want to make sure that everybody understands is we are part of nature. Everybody was talking about
Absolutely.
nature like it's a separate thing, and we're
No,
and we're in
we
going in.
are the apex
We
predator.
we are part of that. We are. This is a natural order that we do, man. And there was one other thing, and I was trying to recall what that was. Um, that that I
Humankind didn't survive
Yes.
from just eating fruits and vegetables.
No, man. We were meat eaters, brother.
No. Yep.
Carnivores,
they ate whatever was available, man.
Exactly.
Yeah, if they had
Oh,
fish,
That's what I
they
mean.
ate fish.
Whatever,
They
yeah,
had
not
fruit,
just
they ate
fruits and
fruit.
vegetables. It's
Had to
like
be able
whatever.
to adapt.
This
No.
this may be kind of crazy, but it kind of reminds me of stepping into an 18-wheeler, and you never have driven an 18-wheeler, and you're like, okay, well, I read the book and I think I can do this and I can think I can do that, but you have done some of your homework. So you're like, all right, yeah, I can do this. So what do? You get passionate about it. You say, I can do this and I'm going to do it. And that's where you become a great hunter, is because it's like, I can do this and I'm going to do this. You just watch.
Yeah, and that's where I struggle with
And they're
people that don't end up in my camp when they don't continually. I'm going to show them the way, but when they're coming to me to always give the answers and not working to do it themselves, they're not moving forward. And so that's where I struggle sometimes. You've got to be able to do that, and if you do, you can become as good as you want to become in anything, man. So
well, I think Mondo hit it on the nose, and I'm so appreciative that he did. Like you said, not a shameless plug. But what Joe has developed, in the curriculum that is the base camp, right? I hearken back to that. You want to develop that killer instinct, man. There is no finer way to understand the quarry and go from inverted training, right? From the kill clean back to how we start. It is absolutely genius the way it's laid out to help you develop and hone those skills to become better at what we love to do. And, you can see that at ElkBros.com and, Base Camp. If you don't have that, I'm telling you guys, it is invaluable. And then if you want to really embrace the spirit of our elk camp, we're outfitters now in New Mexico. Y'all please look at ElkBrosAdventures.com and check us out. We'd love to have you in camp, show you that killer mentality, show you why everybody listens when Chav talks. And when the legend talks, you listen. I mean, these guys are incredible teachers. They're incredible coaches, right? And Luis Gonzalez builds the very best arrows I've ever shot in my life. And if I could pan around here and show you some of this stuff that I got here that has died at the lethalness of that stuff. I mean, these guys are the best of the best. And having this podcast, this platform to be able to go and ramble on about how good these guys are, it's a true testament to how passionate they are about teaching this, man. You know, and we don't align ourselves with a bunch of fake damn people. These are true guys that love that's romantic about, you know, RC said this a lot. He said, you know, being a cowboy is romantic and same thing with elk hunting, man. This is not romanticized. This is tough, hard damn work. But at the end of the day, it builds character in people, man. It changed my life. When I tell you that, I ain't, you know, BSing you at all. It absolutely changed my life. You know, knowing these men that are on this panel has changed my life. So you want to get good at something, learn from the guys that have done it and that live that lifestyle and walk the walk and talk the talk. I mean, I'm not giving a shameless plug, but I am, man. This guy built something has built something that is here to stay, and there are going to be many copies of it, but it will not be the original. I promise you.
We're going to actually you and I are going to do a little show on this, and we're going to talk about what we have, and because that'll be the purpose of that, and we'll get a chance to share that, and that'll be exciting. That's a great place to end right there, brother. So let's sign this thing off, and
well, you know, like with everything else that we do, what?
I said I want to listen to the song.
He wants to listen to the song, man. I can't thank enough for all of our guests, Mr. Foote, Randy. Thank you so much, man, for
you were awesome,
coming
Randy.
up with questions.
Thank you, Randy.
Coming up with questions and interjecting some true power into our subject matter today, because it's complex. You know, complex about what we're talking about here. What makes a killer? What doesn't make a killer? You know,
Randy, do we read our emails, Randy?
Did we read it right away? I think I got an answer in 10 minutes, actually.
Yeah. Guys are blown away by that. They're like, we know y'all are busy, or they'll text me, you know, my information's out there. So they text me, I can't believe you're answering my text. Come on, bro. What can I help you with? No, we're just men, dude.
Send all text to Gilbert.
No, send it to Joe. Joe or Luis will take them on. Maybe Knox, if Knox can get his phone to work, man. We'd really like Chav to do it, but we know his phone don't work. So at the end of the day, guys, it's been phenomenal, man. If you like what we're doing, please subscribe, rate, and review. You got to go to Apple Podcasts or iTunes to review us, and be sure to include your name and where you're from to get in on our spin a winner wheel when Joe brings it back.
It's coming, man. I'm waiting for some reviews, bro. I'm waiting for some reviews.
And you can check out more elk hunting content at ElkBros.com. And just a reminder, if any of our listeners would like their questions, like Mr. Foote, answered on our show, just send your questions to Joe at ElkBros.com. That's Joe, Joe, at ElkBros.com. And guys, I'd be remiss, like we say down here in the Lone Star State, husbands kiss your wives, wives kiss your husbands, hug your babies, keep your broadhead sharp and your powder dry. And we'll see you next week right here on Blue Collar Elk Hunting.
Thank you again, Randy, man.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Hey,
thanks,
my
Randy.
pleasure. Thanks for having me.
And I'm going to say this one for all our grinders out there. Here it is, the Elk Bros new theme song with our Elk Bros Adventures music video. And like Gil says, peace.
Peace.
Where others fear is home to me. No boundaries for my soul. The pounding, the primal blood, driving hunger like no other, running through my veins. No man versus nature, only me versus me. A centuries old challenge, raging deep inside my soul. No anger, malice or evil, only a hunter and his prey. This is my life, country born and raised. When that whistle blows, I'm on There's a will, there's a way, there's a way, there's a way. This is my life, I know it's my day, my life. Don't think you know me, my life, no odds will own me, my destiny, my way. Like a ghost unseen, tasting every scent, knowing with every breeze. The trail before me, the fire burning inside me. This is what we live for, honor, passion, and pain. This is my life, grinder born and raised. When that whistle blows, I'm on the trail, pounding in my head. There's a will, there's a way, there's a way, there's a way. This is my life, I know it's my day, my life. Don't think you know me, my life, no odds will own me, my destiny, my way. This is my life, runner born and raised. When that whistle blows, I'm on the trail, pounding in my head. There's a will, there's a way, there's a way, there's a way. This is my life, I know it's my day,